All right, YouTube, it's your boy Zxous, and we are here. We have Emma and we have Inua skills here. I don't know where Vesty is. Hopefully they announce Vesties while I'm recording these two. We're gonna go take a look at both of them. Both of them have 2 pages, which is scaring me. I'm seeing that Inua is a burst 2 and Emma is a burst 3 or a burst 1, which means Vesty is gonna be a burst 3. I think they're gonna want you to use all 3 of them on the squad. Let's take a look and see what this is looking like right now.
If you need anything, just let me know, okay?
All right. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna skip this because this takes this. I hate these. They take so long, and it's just like shooting in my ears. Okay.
There you go. A little therapy for everyone.
Okay. So already off rip, I've noticed that in the gameplay for the PV, she had something called AS as well. I'm not seeing that here right now. So I'm assuming somebody else is giving her that AS thing. Not to mention, she's not healing anymore after her burst skill. So I'm assuming she either only heals like when you're not in a full burst or something like that. Yeah, literally. Let's take a look and see. This is gonna be scary. Okay, burst 1 supporter fire character. Is she gonna replace Little Mermaid? I doubt it, but we'll see, because she's not replacing Crowd. And the fact that Inua the character is the burst 2 is going to be funny for me, but let's take a look. So skill 1, environmental setup, activates at the start of battle, affects self. Environment setup function, sprays a solution into the surrounding to create an advantage battlefield. So it's like a battlefield effect, basically. Okay, effect 1, damage taken increase by 3.9% for 10 seconds, and the targets of this are all enemies. Okay, great. And that also includes those that appear while environment setup is up. So it's not like whoever's here at the start of the battle. It's like to literally any enemy that comes onto the field while this is up, then damage taken is increased by 3.9%, or yeah, 3.9% for 10 seconds, right? And then it says skill 2, environment setup, continuously recovers 2.32% of the caster's final max HP every 1 second for 10 seconds, and the targets of this is going to be all allies, and reoccurring intervals is 30 seconds. Okay, so basically once the battle starts, you have this for 10 seconds, and then you have to wait 20 seconds for this to apply again. So essentially every 20 seconds you're going to be off of the environment setup, because 10 seconds is also counting down with that 30 seconds, right? So it's going to be 10 seconds, then you have to wait 20 seconds, and then 10 seconds is going to apply, wait 20 seconds, 10 seconds is going to apply, wait 20 seconds, and that's how that works. Activates when the enemy appears, affects self. Exposure, which is undispellable, affects attract, taunts all enemies continuously. She better have some type of like sustained, because healing is not sustained. I hate characters that taunt and only have heals. They better have some type of damage reduction or shield. Let's take a look. I didn't see any shield, so I know she doesn't, but she might have damage reduction. Maybe that's why she doesn't have a heal anymore when you use her burst skill or something. Or I guess it's because it's every 30 seconds or every 10, like every other 20 seconds. Her skill 2, LT formation. Okay, activates only if self is alive. LT formation function, issues a battle advantage tactic to targets. Effect 1, affects all allies from the same squad. Okay. Oh my god, I hate that, because that already means you have to have somebody else from the squad. That means if you're summoning for her, you need to have somebody from the other squad. Whatever. Crit damage increased by 23.51% continuously. Effect 2, affects all allies, projectile explosion damage. As I thought. Exactly as I thought. Okay, so they found a way to include Rappy Red Hood into their little scheme, where basically if you own the character, you get a buff for Rappy as well. So essentially, Raphi gets a 2.32% continuous buff of her projectile explosion damage. And then it says bonus effects when applying AS formation to self. Affects all allies. True damage increased by 30.97% continuously. So that's for Vesty. Affects all allies. Projectile explosion damage increased by 3.09% continuously. That is for Rappy. Or maybe also Inua or freaking Vesty. I'm assuming one of the two have projectile explosion damage as well, right? Because Rappy has that, but I'm assuming somebody else on the squad has that. Effect 3, affect self, exposure activation disabled continuously. Affect self, recurring interval of environment setup decreased by 20 seconds continuously. Oh my god, chat. Wait. Hold on. Let me go to that burst skill, because that last part kind of just pissed me off on that second skill. Her burst skill says affects all allies. Battlefield formation attack increased by 40% of the caster's attack for 10 seconds. And then affect self, if self is in the environment setup status, she will basically the damage taken multiplier of the environment setup is it's scaled by 100%, which is okay, great. And again, that's a targeting all enemies. And then HP potency is increased by 29.04% of all allies. And this all lasts for 10 seconds when you use her burst skill. And she's on a 20-second cooldown. Now, let me go back to that second skill, because that second skill literally just pissed me off. First things first, let's talk about the LT formation, right? It basically says you need to have somebody from her same squad to get a crit, and only the people from her squad will get the crit damage buff of 23% continuously for basically the whole game, right? Which, sure, I don't care. Right? It's not like it's that crazy. It's a crit buff, right? It's sure. The second part that pisses me off is the AS formation. This character here does not apply the AS formation, which means you need to summon for the other character that applies the AS formation. And one thing that really pissed me off is basically what Nikke is saying is that if you don't summon for the character that has that AS formation, then you are guaranteed going to have this nonsense of effect where you taunt all enemies continuously. This is the same thing they did with Maiden. Maiden has this attract effect where she taunts all enemies with no type of tanking. And what they're saying is, exposure is undispellable, right? But if you have somebody from the same squad, we will give you the great feat of not only giving an additional buff for your Red Hood Rappy, but now you're not going to have an effect that cucks the character. Right? That's what they're saying. I'm not tripping. That's exactly what they're saying. It literally says she taunts all enemies continuously. So that's the entire game the moment an enemy appears. So any bosses you fight, she's tanking, right? Or she's not tanking, she's taunting. Every single damage will go for her head. But she has no tanking capabilities, yeah? But they're saying if you don't want that to happen, summon for the character that has the AS formation. Not to mention, if you do, then her first skill becomes permanent. Because remember, this right here reoccurs every 30 seconds, but everything here lasts for 10 seconds, which means every other 20 seconds, she's not going to have the environment set up. What they're saying is if you have a character from her squad, then this first skill is permanent. That's crazy. So Nikke, you really are being, I'm not being funny. That's scummy to me. They're basically saying if you want Emma to really be good, if you want Emma not to like cuck herself, if you want Emma to have any type of longevity in battle, summon for whoever the other character is. When they said they were doing this formation thing, I thought it was like Rouge, where depending on where you put them, then they give an effect, not the literal formation of you needing the actual team, squad, whatever. I don't like that. If I summon for Emma, she's basically useless unless I own Vesty or freaking Inua or whoever the character is with the AS formation. Because like I said, what if Inua gives the AS formation and Vesty doesn't? Or what if Vesty gives the AS formation and Inua doesn't? Then I need to have the character with that AS formation. The only thing that squad really is the crit damage. It's whoever gives this AS formation, because this character gives the LT formation, which means whatever other character has the AS formation, they're probably gonna need the LT formation. So Emma gives the LT formation. Who gives the AS formation? Inua, let's take a look at her stuff.
Hey, Junior Blockhead. If you've got some free time, review the mission briefing.
Okay. Wait, I want to see something, actually, if you don't mind. Okay. Let me skip this. I don't care for the shooting part. It's just shooting in my ears. Okay. Yes, it's Inua.
1 second. I'll be back soon. Once I've got something in my sight, I never miss.
That's fire. Okay. Okay. So Inua gives the AS formation. So you need to have Inua. And it was the burst 2 character, by the way. Okay. So that means you can't use crown with these characters then. There's no way you can use Emma, Inua, and get crown out of that, because there's no possible way. Let's take a look. Her first skill, she also has 2 pages, by the way, but she's the burst 2 attacker. Okay. Her first skill activates when using burst skill, affects self, camouflage, prevents self from being the target of single target attacks for 5 seconds, loses the effect when the caster takes damage. Who has that? Viper has that, right? I think Viper has that ability, literally. So she can't be hit with single target effects. Okay, great. Activates when performing a full charge attack, affects self when entering full burst. Camouflage, prevents self from being the target of single target attacks for 5 seconds. Okay. Activates only when in camouflage status, affects self. Normal attack deals true damage continuously. Oh my god! True damage increased by 42% continuously. Freema, is it your turn? Freema, where are you? Is it your turn? Yeah, is it Freema's turn? What is she, a burst 1? Is it your turn, Freema? True damage increased by 49%. True damage when attacking with a full charge when in the wake up status. Yo, Freema, is it your turn? That's crazy though. So she deals, her normal attacks deal true damage, and she gives herself a 42% true damage buff, which is crazy because if you run her with Emma, that's even more. So this character is going to be nasty on her normal attacks. Got it. And I know she's gonna hit hard because in her PV she was dealing like 4 million damage with her normal attack, and she's a burst tube attacker. Let's take a look though. So she has the AS formation. Oh my god. Okay, so okay, effects. Okay, activates only when self survives. AS formation function, issues a battle advantage tactic to targets. Sure. Effect 1, affects all allies from the same squad, crit rate. Oh, child. So Inua gives a crit rate buff continuously to everybody from the squad, and Emma gives a crit damage buff continuously from everyone in the squad. Sure. Okay. Affects all allies. Charge damage increased by 41%. Oh, continuously? That's quite crazy. Affects self. She gives herself an attack buff of 42% continuously. Excuse me? Oh, that AS formation is quite good for just general allies. A charge damage buff of 41% continuously. That's great for any charging characters. Rocket launchers, snipers, that's great. And then an attack buff of 42% continuously to herself. This character, you know what, is about to be a nasty burst too. Bonus effects when applying the LT formation. So essentially, bonus effect if you're running her with Emma. All allies projectile explosion damage increased by 5.11% continuously. Affects all allies true damage. Oh my god. Bro, you're gonna need them. You're gonna need all. I feel like you're gonna need all of them. Vesty, I feel like Vesty is gonna be a character that just has the craziest buffs, but you need to have both of the other two for her to go crazy. I feel like they're about to make a nasty team. One thing I've noticed so far, chat, not a single one of these characters have projectile explosion damage. So what they want you to do is they want you to use Emma, Inua, and I'm assuming they're gonna fit Vesty in there with Rappy. Because Rappy's the only character who has this projectile explosion damage who's getting a buff from that. Rappy's the only one who's getting a buff from that. Now, if Rappy has 5% continuous projectile explosion damage, like a buff from 5% from her and an additional 5% from freaking Emma, that's going to be a 10% buff continuously for Rappy the entire game, which is crazy. Anyways, this character is on a 20-second cooldown as well. Oh my god, it's a completely new team. It's a completely new team. Anyways, swap weapons. Charge time takes 0.3 seconds. Oh my god. Damage is 105.6% of final attack as true damage. That's crazy. Full charge damage is 300% of damage. Max ammo capacity is 1 round. Sure. Special note: fires an exploding bullet. Fires an exploding bullet, dealing area of effect damage. Additional effect. Target hits. Sure. So whatever target hits. Okay, and then it says explosive round damage taken increased by 27% for 10 seconds. So whoever it hits and like the explosion hits, the area of effect hits, damage taken is going to be increased by 27%. Basically, this is a completely new comp. What they're telling you is Inua and Emma and Rappy is going to be the new team. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Inua is about to be a nasty DPS. She already has true damage continuously when she's in the camouflage effect, right? When you're in a full burst, which you're always going to be in a full burst basically, because this is a sniper rifle we're looking at as well, and I think the other one's a rocket launcher, right? Not to mention it depends on who you have that last character be. If you have like someone like Helm, you're always going to be in your full burst realistically. Not a single one of them have cooldown reduction, I just want to mention, but being in your true damage state for your normal attacks and that being 42% continuously, and then having someone like Emma who gives you I think Emma gives what does Emma give? A 40%, a 30% continuous true damage effect if you're running her with Inua, and then Inua herself gives an additional 41% or 30% if you're in the LT formation. Not to mention her charge damage, which is of her normal attack, is increased by 41%, and her just general attack is increased by 42%. Inua's about to be nutty. Emma, Inua, and Rappy are about to be crazy, bro. What's this last one? Okay. Perfect. Let's get it all in one video. Let's take a look at it all in one video. Vesty. Let's see. I'm already scared.
Commander, I get flustered when you look at me like that.
Okay, wait. I'm skipping this part. I don't like this. Perfect, Vesty. You came right in time. Luckily, I yapped enough to get all 3 of them in the video. Okay. Okay. So she has no LT or AS formation.
Missile container online. Full barrage. Fire. Hold on. The loading is taking longer than I thought.
Oh my god, wait. Oh my god, wait. Before I read her skills, they said Vesty was the character with the true damage, right? Hold on, wait. Okay, that's her herself. But all allies get this true damage buff here, right? And then all allies get the true damage buff from here. Okay. Let's see what this character does. She only has 1 page. She's a burst 3. Oh my god, the team is literally supposed to be Emma, Inua, and then Vesty and Rappy as the burst 3s. And then probably Helm. You're gonna notice it's either gonna be Crown as like the second burst 2 that you can run on the team for crazy buffs, or it's going to be freaking or Helm. That's gonna be the last burst 3, and that's your team comp right there. Literally, the entire of Elysion Castle, the entire Elysion Tower, your team should be Emma, Inua, Vesty, Rappy, Helm. That's the team for the tower. That's like the meta team for tower. Let's take a look, because this is looking like a Bible passage. Anyways, okay, her skill 1 activates when performing full charge attacks. If self is not in the missile guide status, affects self. Okay, so she's not in the missile guide status. She will be in the missile guide status, which increases charge speed by 100% for 3 rounds. So that's after, okay, so if you use a full charge attack, basically. So she's always gonna have that. That's for every attack then, right? Because after the 3 shots, then you're no longer in the missile guide status, and then if she uses the full charge again, she'll be in that status again, basically. So long story short, she's always gonna have 100% charge speed increased by 100%, basically. Activates when landing a full charge attack of, again, only if self. Okay, so this is only if self is in the missile guide status. Affects self. Charge damage increases by 58%, stacks up to 1 times and lasts for 3 seconds. Okay, great. And then it says activates when reloading to max ammo capacity. It removes the missile guide. So she's always gonna be in and out of the missile guide. It's gonna be freaking not continuous, but it's gonna be freaking what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Consistent. It's gonna be quite consistent. That's the word. It's gonna be quite consistent, just not like permanent, but it's gonna be so consistent where it almost feels permanent if it's not permanent. Right, and then their second skill, activates when landing a full charge, affects target, deals 266% of final attack as true damage. For flip's sake. Activates when landing full charge attack if self is in the battle formation status. Affects self. What's battle formation status? I don't see anything about that. Anyways, it says activates when landing a full charge attack if self is in the battle formation status. Affects self, gives an attack buff of 20% for 3 seconds. Activates when landing full charge attack if the target is in the explosion round status. Affects self. Projectile explosion damage increased by 20% for 3 seconds. Okay. And then a burst skill affects self. Explosion radius increases by 100% for 10 seconds. And true damage increases by 60% for 10 seconds. Affects all enemies, including parts. Deals 492% of final attack as burst skill true damage. So this character is the one, oh my god. Literally, you want all 3 of them together. Vesty, okay, let me put it like this. Vesty is not the character you need, but it just seems like a waste to not have her at that point. You know what I mean? My thing is, if you want Vesty, you need to have Emma and Inua, right? Because you get the attack buff from being in the battle formation, which Emma gives the battle formation, right? Where is it? Battlefield formation. Emma gives that from her burst one. And then the explosion radius thing, the explosion area effects thing, Inua gives that. So if you want to use Vesty, you need to have the other 2. If you want to use Inua, you need to have Emma. And if you want to use Emma, you need to have Inua. So you need to have all 3 of these characters is what you're telling me. Nikke, you're telling me I need to summon for 3 characters for me to actually get use out of them. Great. What a great company. I'm not even gonna lie, that one takes the piss. And you know what I think is so funny to me? You know what I think is genuinely the funniest thing to me? Basically, it's kind of like unsaid here, but basically what Nikke is saying is, if you also do that, if you also summon for all 3 of these characters, Rappy gets quite the buff. Because Rappy's projectile explosion damage is going to get a buff continuously the entire game. These are all Elysion characters. So literally, Elysion is set because they have favorite item Helm, who could fit on this team now, right? The team is literally supposed to be Emma, Inua, Rappy, Vesty, favorite item Helm. That's the team. That's literally that's the team. Or if you don't want to use Helm, heck, you can even put freaking Crown in there. Get the attack buff for the people who use their burst skills. Emma cocks herself unless you have Inua. Literally, Emma is not going to be a consistent character unless you have Inua. And Inua, it doesn't necessarily need Emma as much as Emma needs Inua, but Inua still needs Emma, right? Or she's just not going to be as good. And then Vesty literally needs both of them, or she's not going to be as good. For when it comes to that second skill, basically. The 20% attack buff when you're in the battle formation status, and then the projectile explosion damage increase for 20% for 3 seconds when you're in the explosive round status, which again, she herself doesn't give that. The other 2 gives that, right? That's kind of crazy to me. But Vesty's gonna hit hard, which we know. We've seen that PV. Vesty hit for like 15 million. You know what I mean? And that was just a one enemy. It was an AoE she did. That's an AoE she had. She hit for 50 million on one enemy. So if there's 10 enemies, she's hitting over 100 million with her AoE. Not to mention she's already doing godlike numbers with her normal attacks. We didn't see how much damage she did on her normal attacks because there was no enemies left for her to attack in that PV. And I'm not being funny, y'all. One thing we didn't see in that PV was this. Look what she uses her normal attack. Because there was no enemies in the PV, we never got to see the damage, nor did we see this part. Look at the explosion radius damage. Look at that. She's attacking the enemy here, right here, but this enemy here and the enemy down here is getting hit. Look. What? The enemy, she's attacking the enemy here, but this enemy right here is getting hit. What? Bro, this team is about to be a strong team because Rappy is a part of this team. This team is about to be so broken. If you have all three of these characters and they're all fire. Yo, this is the fire team. This is the fire team. Inua and Vesty hit hard as hell. Rappy hits hard as hell. They're all fire. And they're all Elysion characters. This is literally the team you want for any fire bosses, any fire content, any fire anything. You want Emma, Inua, Vesty, and Rappy. Red Hood, the Pilgrim. Oh my god. That's crazy. I'm not summoning for 3 characters. I understand the 2% rate up, but I'm not doing it. They better give me enough currency. I'm not being funny with you, but Nikke, you better give me enough currency if you're gonna do this to me. That's crazy, yo. 3 characters and they're all, when they said something about the formation, I thought it was going to be like Rouge where the character has to be in either the 1st or 2nd slot, or the character has to be in the 3rd or 4th slot, or the character has to be in the 5th slot. Not in the sense of they actually need to be on the, like, you need the characters from the squad to be on the team. If you're not running these characters together, then there's no point. So if you I have to, should you summon? And it's not like you need to have Rappy, but Rappy just got a crazy buff from this team, which is crazy. Like, this is what I mean. Lore accurate. What did I tell you guys in my video yesterday? Nikke has a problem making the characters so lore accurate to the point where Rappy is getting a buff from this team. Not only that, these characters are as powerful as they are in the actual story now. I'm not being funny. You have this team, you have a very strong comp because now it's the absolute team, which is the best of the best, and then Rappy's on that team. Guaranteed. Bro, Nikke, man. I have to do a should you summon today because this is going to be hard. And it's not even like, I don't even think I need to do a should you summon because essentially it's either you summon for all 3 or you don't. That's how I see it. You either summon for all 3 or you don't. Either way, you need anybody else from the squad. If you summon for Vesty, you need to have Inua and Emma to get her full capabilities. If you summon for Emma, you need to have freaking Inua. You need to summon for Inua to get her full capabilities. If you summon for Inua, you need to summon for Emma to have her full capabilities. What? Come on, man. It's your boy Zxous. Let me know what you guys think. I can't. That's crazy. I'm out. I'm gonna see you guys next one. I'm out. Peace.